Is that me?
I don't know. I'm muted there. I don't know what the echo is coming from. Talk again.
Want me to keep it on?
So it's my computer. My computer's not. The echo's coming from my computer. Hold on.
Okay.
But it says that there's no volume, so I'm not really sure why.
Or is that me?
I don't know. Do you still hear an echo? Yeah.
Yeah.
I am muted.
We can power through. Not a biggie.
It's just weird because I hear when I take my headphones off. Maybe I'll put my headphones over here. Try that. See if that. I had this figured out the other day. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. See, when I put my headphones in, I can't hear you through my headphones, but it stops the echo. So I'm not really sure why that's doing that. Let me see. Sorry, hold on one second. Try again.
No worries. Again. Yeah, that sounds better. Way better.
I know. Okay.
Can you hear?
I can hear you. Yeah. Not as clearly as I'd like to, but it's okay.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay.
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
I see you. We're in all.
Awesome. All right. Well, my name is Anna Lembke, and first I'm going to share a little bit about myself, and then we'll get right to it. I started playing sports at a very young age, pretty much anything I could get my hands on, and I eventually landed in basketball. And I was fortunate to have super supportive coaches and family members throughout my journey, because growing up, I was that awkwardly tall kid. And not the teeny, tall, skinny kid, but more the tall, kind of sturdy kid. And as you can imagine, as a young girl, this wasn't very fun. But I found that when playing sports, I could create more meaning of my height. It served more as an asset, especially playing basketball. And it provided me with confidence both on and off the court. And this confidence continued through high school to eventually accepting a scholarship to Pepperdine University, a small D1 school in Southern California. And while at Pepperdine, I was able to compete in numerous NCAA tournaments and compete with and against some amazing athletes. And after my time at Pepperdine, I went over to Europe to fulfill a childhood dream of playing for a professional basketball team. And I played internationally with basketball before, but I never really lived in a different culture and experienced such diversity. And I think it was there that I really realized the specialness of sports, of stepping onto the court, and it didn't matter what languages we all spoke or which countries us as athletes were from, that when we were playing basketball or competing for that same goal, we somehow spoke the same language. And that specialness is definitely still with me here. And after returning home from Europe, I dabbled in a career of fitness and coaching. I've coached youth basketball from ages as young as 2nd and 3rd grade all the way through high school. And I've worn many hats as a head coach, an assistant coach, a strength and conditioning coach, and also working with individual athletes on sports performance, both on and off the court. And I think it's both of these experiences as an athlete and a coach that fuel my passion for PCA and supporting the movement. I've played for coaches that have coached with that PCA philosophy and those that haven't, and had firsthand experiences with that and seen that with my teammates and how that's affected our overall performance. And I think it's all this that kind of fuels my desire for education. While in my senior year at Pepperdine, I suffered the dreaded ACL injury, and fortunately my coaches extended the scholarship so I can rehab and redshirt in my final year. I ended up cranking out a master's degree in psychology and education, and right now I'm wrapping up another master's in mental health counseling. And I don't say all this to pat myself on the back, but more to give you a window into how I see the awesomeness of sports and the amazing opportunities that you as coaches have to create memorable, teachable moments both on and off the court that go well beyond the time your players will be playing for you. So that's enough about me. Let's move on to our third and final principle.
Sorry, I just had to scroll through.
You're good. Oh, yeah.
Keep going.
Thank you. And it's small, but I could see it down there.
Oh, yeah. So if you want it bigger, you can click on it.
Really?
Yeah. Like if you roll your cursor over it, it'll make it bigger for you. And then you see a small.
Bam. Okay, here we go. All right. So our third and final principle is called honoring the game. Thank you. And I like this principle because it serves as kind of an overarching umbrella of the other principles, and it shows us how to integrate them into creating a solid, culture for your team. And at PCA, we believe that when a solid culture is created, everything else just seems to simplify. So we're going to start with this image here. And they say that an image is worth 1,000 words, but I think this one is worth a couple more. But before we get going, does anybody recognize this or know anything about this? Maybe by a show of hands, you could let me know. Yes? I see one person knows. Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to watch a little video, and that'll tell us the story of this college softball game in 2008. And while we're watching it, I want you to imagine that you are Mallory Holtman's coach. She's one of these athletes here that's carrying this other athlete, and what that must be like. All right, so then we can watch the video. Bam, bam. Cool. I can't hear you, but it's all good. And I imagine in watching the video, I liked in watching some of you guys reading the actual part at the end. So coaches, I'm wondering, what was that like for you to be Mallory Holtman's coach and watching that video?
Filled with pride. I feel myself filling with pride.
With pride, watching your athlete out there?
I was a little surprised at first, but I think it was definitely pride, but at first was surprise.
Yeah, I bet you were surprised because we don't see this very often, and Mallory Holtman wasn't instructed to do this, which is why we call this the Mallory moment, and we use this as the example of honoring the game. All right, on to the next slide. Thank you. We like to use the illustration of a tree and the effectiveness of roots in creating that solid foundation. And as many of you probably know, a tree that has solid roots and a solid foundation can withstand any storm. And last weekend, I again was at the mountain, and I brought 15 high school girls to go up skiing and snowboarding. And again, it seemed to be stormy, which has been the theme this year. And I have to admit that when getting off the chairlift, it was a bit of a challenge for us because the wind was blowing so hard, it seemed like it was pushing us back. And the visibility was so minimal that we just followed each other's brightly colored jackets in order to see. Yet when looking over at the tree, you can see it just standing firm and tall. And you have to wonder, is it because of the strong roots and the solid foundation that it has? And that's what we're talking about with you guys in creating that culture for your own teams. Okay, we're going to go to the next slide. Thank you. So now I'm going to share with you 5 principles that we see as being crucial for creating that strong foundation. And I'm going to warn you that we have high expectations here at PCA, yet we all have confidence in your coach's ability to make this happen. So the first, well actually before I go through these principles, and while I'm going through these principles, I want you to think of your own team and how does it relate or measure up to these different components. So first we're going to start with rules, and before we dive into that, I'm curious, does anybody have any idea of why we even have rules? Maybe we can let's name 3 different reasons why rules are in place.
To give the game structure and identify a winner at the end.
Thank you, Ruben. Structure and a winner.
Right. I think to keep it safe and to keep it from just being chaotic.
Chaotic and safe, definitely important aspects of rules. And I'm wondering, does anybody coach a team in which maybe sometimes there's a little gray area, or you can bend the rules? For instance, in coaching youth basketball, and my player's dribbling down the court, and maybe she steps out of bounds, or maybe she double dribbles and the ref's not looking, and maybe that's okay. Can anybody relate to that or have an experience similar?
Yeah, my daughter swims, and there's a lot of times when they do relay starts, and the other girl goes off before the one touches the wall, and the officials don't see it.
Yeah, so it's kind of okay, right? It's not
how you go fast.
You go fast, exactly. Well, at PCA, we want you to honor the rules, and that means refusing to bend them at all times. There's no gray area here, and in honoring the game and respecting the rules, that means we're also honoring the written rules and the spirit of the rules. So now we're going to go on to opponents. And we believe that a worthy opponent is a gift, something to be definitely grateful for, and something that makes us better as teams in so many ways. So I'm curious, as coaches, what do you do to help respect opponents in your own team? Anybody want to share?
Well, one thing I've done is in practice we don't let, when we scrimmage in practice and when we do a competitive drill, we insist that the players are respectful of their teammate / opponent across the net. We just insist on that.
So thank you, Ruben. So you require and insist in respect in your practices as well as the games, it sounds like.
Because they're teammates during the matches, but oftentimes during the course of the week as we train, they're each other's opponents.
Mm-hmm. So you're practicing that respect in practice as well to carry it over. Thank you. I think that's a wonderful example.
And there's a tendency in volleyball to chatter through the net, and you can trash talk and stuff, and we insist that our players keep it on our side, including the celebrating. That the celebrating is directed inward towards us and not to show up the folks across the net.
Awesome. So you're showing respect in many ways that transforms.
Trying, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And I'll share an example of my time playing in Europe, and it was part of the ritual of the team that before tip-off we would go over and shake the hands of every other athlete and their coach and say good luck. And I have to admit, the first time that this happened, I didn't understand what was going on, because in my other playing days it seemed like your opponents were more your enemies. But in the culture that had been established there, they were to be respected. And it was also common that after the game, both teams would go up to the restaurant / bar that seems to be in every sports complex in Western Europe, and we would hang out with the other team. And I have to, like I said, it was kind of odd at first. How are we hanging out with these people that were enemies? But it was part of the culture, which was pretty neat. So our next category is officials. And I'm curious, in this huge room full of people, how many of you are currently officials right now? No officials. Okay, sometimes when I do these workshops, I tend to get a lot of officials that are no longer officials, and they share a similar theme to me in that I spent one season officiating youth basketball, and that was all I needed to be on that other side, on the coaching side. And oftentimes you can hear officials say that they don't feel the respect that the other athletes on the court do. And I'm curious, as your own team, how you show respect for officials, or don't you?
Try.
You try.
One of the things that I heard today. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the volume down. One of the things I heard today from someone else was that they actually invited the officials to their end of the season banquet. And I thought, wow, that was a really cool idea. I don't know that I would have thought to do that, but I thought that was really neat.
Super awesome. I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah, and she said the players and the parents were like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? But she said she made it a lesson that, they put in the time, they had a good season, and we want to honor them as well. So I thought that was really cool.
Neat to hear. Thank you for sharing. And then going back to my example in Europe, it was common for the officials after every game to go up to that same restaurant and bar and to spend time with all the coaches and actually the owners of the teams. And like I said, this seemed kind of odd to me. I am totally echoing again. It's okay.
Funny.
That's okay. But oh, are we there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Now I hear you.
Okay. I don't know what happened there.
I'm sorry, I'm messing this up. I'm trying to get the volume off on my computer, and I just can't do it. It's not going off. I don't know why. That's why you have an echo, because I can't get the volume to go down, and I can't figure out why.
We'll work with the echo then.
Sorry.
It's all good.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I won't hold the time pause technology problem against you. I just
it's all good.
How to get the volume to go down.
Okay, so we have athletes, some players that get along in teams and some players that don't, and I'm curious for your own teams, how do you guys maintain that respect and cohesiveness amongst each other? Anybody want to throw something out there?
I think just getting to know each other, the team doing things outside of the sport that are fun, that they can laugh and joke around. I think that's a big part of being a team that a lot of coaches take for granted or they don't think about.
Getting to know each other outside of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely beneficial. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the last category is self, and self-respect is...
All right.
Okay.
I have a feeling some of that is... I'm sorry, I have a feeling some of that is me. I'm using my phone for the first time. So I'm just... So I apologize for if I am being disruptive.
No worries. You're giving me challenges to work with.
I was going to say, this is like a typical workshop.
I was like, isn't this normal?
Yeah.
Okay. Self-respect is simply defined as living up to your own expectations when no one else expects you to, or when no one else is watching. So coaches, what are your players doing when you're not there, both on and off the court, whether that's during practice or after practice or even at school? And have you ever shown up to one of your practices or maybe a pregame and you were a little late and all your players were there and they were already warming up or organizing equipment or practicing their fundamentals? And that's what we're talking about with self-respect and honoring themselves. All right, we're going to switch to the next slide.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, the importance of culture creation. So honoring the game doesn't just happen, especially with the influence of professional sports and the win-at-all-cost mindset, and the way this often trickles down to youth sports. So as coaches, we ask that you be leaders in this movement of creating a culture for your team. And we define culture simply as the way we do things here, nothing fancy about it. And when I think of the phrase, the way we do things here, I think of my family and growing up, and a very loving family, but my mom was pretty strict around the household. And I remember times of asking her, Mom, why do I have to share a car with my twin brother? Because no one else has to share a car. And she would respond with, that's the way we do things here. Or, Mom, why do I have to come home early when everyone else is staying out later? And she would also respond, that's the way we do things here. So coaches, we invite you to adopt this to your team. And when you have those moments of maybe your players are cleaning up the field after a game and your athlete comes to you and asks, why are we doing this when the other team isn't doing? You can say, that's just the way we do things here. All right, next slide.
Okay.
Thank you. So we also recognize at PCA that honoring the game all the time is not an easy task. You coaches have a lot going on. So if you turn to page 46 of your book, there is an Honor the Game toolkit. And in there is called the self-control routine, which is something we're going to talk about here. And that's something to put in place when you know that you just get hot-headed over maybe a bad call that the ref plays or bad call that the ref makes, or maybe when you're going to play another team and there's just a coach on the opposing team for some reason just gets under your skin. This is something that you can proactively and intentionally put in place to kind of keep you cool so you don't get thrown out of the game. And I'm curious, do you guys practice anything right now to help control yourself in those moments?
I do a lot of deep breathing. Deep breathing and drinks, a lot of drink. I mean, non-alcoholic.
Lots of deep breathing and taking sips of water. Yes. Anybody else have maybe one other idea?
My assistant coach and I, we have an agreement that if we're going to get really mad and yell at the refs, that instead we turn to each other and just state to each other, we think that was a bad call, we're mad at the ref, and then we move on.
Awesome. Awesome ideas and awesome tools to put in place, like I said, proactively and intentionally to keep yourself in the game.
I had someone today tell me that they write it down. they write down their complaints. They have a sheet on their clipboard that says why this ref is an idiot or whatever it is, why they are so frustrated. They get out the frustrations on paper, and it looks like they're just jotting down like game plan things, but it's just a way to vent, and they write down like that was the worst call ever because, and I thought there's a really good outlet because
that is a really good idea.
Yeah, I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah. And way more meaningful to me than just strapping the rubber band. I don't know. To me, that just hurts me. Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's go on to the next slide then.
Oops. Okay.
Thank you. All right. So your Mallory moment, like I said before, we see this Mallory moment as an awesome example of honoring the game. And I have a message from our PCA founder, Jim Thompson. Do you want me to read it?
Would you read it in a workshop?
Yes.
Then you would.
All right. Here we go. So here's a message from our PCA founder, Jim Thompson. If you coach long enough, you'll be faced with your own big Mallory moment opportunity, maybe even more than once. But for sure, coaching provides a never-ending sequence of smaller Mallory moment opportunities. My challenge to you is, by your actions time and again in these moments, to elevate the game the way Mallory Holtman did. So coaches, we ask and we challenge you to stand up to that moral courage that you have to implement these principles to honor the game, because that's what's going to be remembered.
All right. Perfect. That's 1 minute to spare. Yeah.
Sweet.
No, that's great. That is great. Well, how'd you feel doing it a second time, going through it all?
Way better, and trying to get out of my own way, which always is my problem.
Good.
Yeah.
I thought it seemed a lot smoother. I really did. I thought you just seemed very, very calm and very smooth through that. So let me unscreen share for a second here. Here we go.
Definitely areas for improvement and slowing down and whatnot, and including more. But yes, it did feel better.
Well, that comes with practice too. It's all good. Good. Ruben, do you mind if I start?
I don't mind.
Okay. Thanks. Anna, I don't, I'm probably repeating what I said the last time, but I just think I think you're just so smooth and you're so confident, and it just comes across. I love your facial expressions, which I didn't notice as much the last time, I think.
Oh yeah.
But no, it really, you're not, I wouldn't necessarily say that you're not a high energy person per se, but your facial expressions are very animated, and you really bring things to life through your facial expressions. In a workshop, you're not going to be sitting. You're going to be moving. I'm sure you're going to be using your hands. You're going to be able to be more physically animated than you are right now. But I think facial expressions are really huge, and I think a lot of people, we watch people do this all the time, and there's so many times Ruben and I are like, "Are you having fun? Like, could you smile?" And it's such a small detail. People don't realize what a difference it makes when you're actually smiling, and you're enjoying yourself. And I just noticed that you were, you have good facial expressions. I like the way you put in some more personal stories this time. I thought it was really, really great the way that you were able to work in your personal stories about coaching or about playing or about your family. I mean, I think that's a great connection. What I would encourage you to do, a few times you said like on or off the court. Just try to make sure that you bring in the court or the field or the pool. Not every single time you say it, but just be aware that you've got a lot of different sports involved. So maybe trying to ask someone from the audience about you did ask a lot of questions, but I sometimes specifically say give me an example in a sport like swimming where you're not on a field or you're not in a pool, or give me an example from track, or give me an example from cheerleading team or whatever it is. Just because I know those are weak areas for me. So I pull that out of the audience. And again, I think your conversation is you do it really well. You ask questions, very clear questions. We know what we're asked for. You asked questions that have a purpose, not just regurgitating the answers back again. But, you said a couple things that I just like the way you said it. Like, what do you do to show respect for your opponents? What are you going, you were talking about, where did I write down? I can't find where I wrote down. But anyway, I wrote down something. You just said like, here's my question, but for instance, you said, you asked a question, give me an example, like for instance. And for instance is a really important thing to say, because it didn't take long for you to explain it, but I knew exactly what you meant. So I think when you're asking a question and you give a quick for instance, that helps the audience say, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I know what she's talking about. So gotcha. I thought that you did that really well too. You used the book, and I just I think it's great the way you're really I thought you were much smoother and much more comfortable than you were the last time. And it's exciting for me because you're just going to get better and better as you go. So I'm excited.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing I forgot to put in, I had an exercise, that darn exercise with the roots. That was planned, but skipped over.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my other thing. I was going to say, find a way to get the audience engaging with each other was my only other comment that I had down. Just something to get us talking and thinking and all that kind of stuff.
And I actually had it written on my quote that says exercise that I'd see that, but I completely forgot it.
That's okay. I've often done the post-workshop analysis drive on the way home. I'm sure Ruben has too, where you go, oh, shoot, I totally forgot to do that. Or, wow, I forgot to mention that whole story. So it happens.
Yeah.
Just flush it and move on.
That's right. That's right. Write it down. Let it go.
Ruben, go ahead.
So Anna, I did look back and I was remembering correctly. Yeah, I was on with you when you practiced this last week. And last week you did do a roots activity with us.
Yep, that's the one I'm talking about. Yep.
Yeah. And is there anything from last week and the feedback you received in particular that you were consciously trying to put into play here today?
I utilized some of what you shared of being careful with my language of respect and honor in the game, and some of those principles, and then also I remember you mentioning maybe showing a little more personality. I think you mentioned at one point it'd be nice for me to get excited or just show more excitement. So I think I did some more of that, but definitely could use more.
Well, Kelly noticed it. Kelly noticed how animated you were today.
That's right. And facial. Yes.
I don't know if this shows up when I hold it up in front of me. This is my scribbling notes. That's not it. Where is it? Hold on. Can you guys read that if you like? No, you can't, can you?
Not really.
Then I'll read it.
I see scribbles.
There's scribbles, and one of the first scribbles is more expressive right away. So it jumped out at me that what Kelly noticed was the very first thing I noticed, that you were indeed, I felt, more animated, more expressive today, right from the get-go. And and I think I don't know what words I use, but I think changing your intensity level, changing the channel. Videos are one way to change the channel. Getting people up, putting them in pairs, and another way to channel is to change your intensity at some point in the workshop. Whether it's that or whether it's through laughter or, So, and I think that you definitely moved in that direction today, and I'm very glad to hear that you did that proactively, that you were paying attention to that. So. Beyond that, I think Kelly's feedback is always so great and complete. I mean, I really don't have much to add, Anna. I'm very happy for you where you've gotten yourself to with your great coach, Kelly. And and it'll be exciting, when you're out there presenting live workshops.
Awesome, thank you guys.
All right. Yeah, and so that's, I don't think, Ruben and I always talk after these hangouts, and I don't think we're going to have any reservations in recommending you to do this. Hold on one second. Mike is trying to join. Hold on one second.
It's a fun night tonight.
Oh my goodness. Sorry.
Well, while we're waiting, that's another positive, by the way, was with all the distractions, you just sticking with it and playing through it. I had a trainer in training observe a workshop last night, and that's the thing that he noticed the most about it was it was an athlete workshop, high school students, and they were semi-respectful,
Yeah.
And the observer, that's the first thing he told me. He goes, I was amazed at how focused Katie stayed and her ability to play right through, some of the poor behavior of the student athletes. And so you did that. You did that really well.
Thank you.
Tonight.
I credit that to working with high school girls.
Yeah.
I get to practice that on a daily basis.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
All right. Mike, sorry to catch you off guard there.
It's okay. I'm sorry I'm late. Finally, the timing differences caught me, so I apologize, Anna.
No problem.
It looks like you're comfortable, and it looks like things went well. So I'm sorry I missed it.
Not a problem, Mike. Thank you.
So where do we go from here?
Okay. Are you ready? We didn't like throw this at you real quick, did we?
No, I'm ready.
Okay, I figured you would be. All right, and you have the PowerPoint, so you don't need mine, which is fine. So I can turn this off. Yep. So I'm not. I'm trying to get my volume back on. I turned it off for Anna, so there was no echo. Now I can't get it back on. All right, hold on. I don't want to hold you up, Mike, so I might just try to figure this out on my own. I'll just mute. All right, how's that? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So take it away. Now, what are you doing today or tonight?
I'll do my introduction, and then I'll go with the Elm Tree of Mastery and go until you tell me to be quiet.
Okay. I can do that. All right, so I will set the timer for 20 minutes, and I think you guys were on together last time, weren't you?
Yeah.
So that's good. That's great. You guys get to see each other again.
Anna and I like.
All right. Well, it's nice. It's nice to see progression. I think it's good.
Well, I'm sorry again I missed Anna's. I'm a little bummed because I was looking forward to seeing it, but at least we're here now, so okay.
You can watch the recording.
All right, I will.
All right. So, Mike, whenever you're ready, thank you for coming to the workshop. It's all you.
All right. Again, thank you for that kind introduction. A little bit more about myself to give you a little more background on how I came the PCA way, if you will, is I did a training not that long ago. I went to a workshop just like the one you guys are at here today, and it really changed the paradigm for my coaching philosophy. Like many coaches, I was in it to win, and for good reason. If you're a coach, you do want to win. But when I went to that PCA training, it really helped me understand that there's much more to coaching than just wins and losses. And I'm so excited to be here today. Not only do I use it in my coaching now, but I'm a physical education teacher, and I use it there too, and I'm already starting to see the benefits of some of the principles I'm going to share with you guys tonight. So it's an exciting time. It's something that if you really believe in it, it's easy to sell and easy to talk about. So I'm really excited to get your feedback. And again, this is a workshop, so we're going to keep on going and make sure that we get some give and take. So we're going to start with our first principle tonight from the PCA, and that is the Elm Tree of Mastery. So the first principle we're talking about is a lot of coaches are focused on the scoreboard definition, or the scoreboard, the results, if you will, of the game, whereas a PCA coach is going to work toward mastery with their athletes, okay? So a scoreboard coach, can somebody tell me what is another name or a phrase for a coach who focuses mainly on the scoreboard? Anybody have an idea?
Ignorant?
Yeah. Well, some are. What we like to call at PCA, that type of a coach is a coach who is a win at all costs coach. And frankly, I've been there. I mean, it doesn't make you a bad coach. It makes you a coach who wants to win. It doesn't mean you're going to cheat to win, but your main focus is winning. And at PCA, winning is important to us, as we've mentioned, but there's more to it than that. So results are a key for a scoreboard definition coach. That's what they base their self-esteem and their philosophy on, is just winning games. At PCA, it's a little bit different. We're trying to double goal coach our players into a mastery state, and that is going to be different from a scoreboard definition, in that we want our coaches to give 100% effort. And that 100% effort doesn't come just in the games. It's going to come in practices. And we're going to ask our players, as a PCA coach and a double goal coach and a triple impact competitor, to give 100% with their schoolwork and in their home life as well. So it's a different philosophy than worrying about winning and losing. It's just worrying about giving 100%. And as a coach, I think we can find out that we can really help our players not only be better players and get better results, but be better people too. So additionally, a scoreboard coach is usually comparing his or her team with other teams or other players. And that can be difficult to do. Sometimes you're going to find that your team is overmatched. Sometimes you're going to find that you're undermatched. It's hard to compare your teams or your players with others unless you have very similar opponents that you're playing against. And how many of us can say that we haven't had a time where our team has been undermatched, where we knew we were going to lose going in, or we knew that we were going to win? And sometimes winning easily is not very fulfilling. You can have more satisfaction from a loss where you played a really good team versus a win where you played a team that wasn't that good. So the scoreboard definition is comparing your team with other teams, while the mastery definition is all about learning. No matter who you play or how it's going, as long as your players are giving 100% and trying to learn along the way, then it's going to be more rewarding for you as a coach and for your players. What I talk to with our golfers is, we start here today. Tomorrow, we want to make a step forward. And at the end of every practice, I talk to our players and ask them, what did you learn today? Can you tell me one thing that you learned? And as long as we have that learning mentality, it is a better way to go than worrying about what the other is feeling. So learning is a big part of the elm tree of mastery. And another one, the last one, when you have a coach that is very much driven on the scoreboard result and wants to win every game no matter what, they are going to be focused more on, if you make a mistake, you might be making them look bad. That's some of the things that I've read, that a coach gets embarrassed because it's like, if a player messes up, it's a reflection of them, and they're going to pull that player out. I've seen it happen time and time again. But at PCA, our goal is to understand that, well, mistakes are not okay on the scoreboard definition. Coach, what would you say about that from a mastery definition?
Mistakes are learning opportunities.
Exactly. Mistakes are okay. And they're the lifeblood of learning. As a coach or even as a teacher, if people don't make mistakes, how are they going to learn? It's how we handle the mistakes and how we correct them along the way, and our timing in doing so, that's going to make a big impact on helping that player continue, not make the same mistakes again, and not worry about being pulled out of a game. One of the biggest things that can happen to a player is if they're worried about what's going to happen if they mess up. That is going to hinder their performance in the game. So at PCA, we're trying to help our players with the Elm Tree of Mastery have 100% effort, always try and learn, and understand that sometimes mistakes are okay, and you're not going to lose your job if you mess up, as long as you're trying to learn from those mistakes. So those are some keys in the Elm Tree, and there are some things that you're going to find that it's going to take a little work. You want to change the culture. PCA is trying to change the culture of your organization, and it's going to take a little time and some care in doing so. Research even shows that it is more effective to go with a mastery definition, where you're teaching your players to master an activity than worry about the results. Robert Rosser at Stanford University, he did research that showed if a player feels like they have mastered or are mastering an aspect of their sport, it says their anxiety, he found out their anxiety does what? Do you think it would go up or down? Down, that's right. Their anxiety is going to go down the better they feel about how they have mastered and where they are in that sport. Whereas their self-confidence, if they feel like they are in control of what they're doing, their self-confidence is going to go where? Obviously, it's going to go up. So, research shows that the elm tree of mastery pays off. So, if a player feels like they are mastering something, if they have been taught well and they're trying to learn and they're giving 100%, what do you think, what is the feeling that player is going to have? A feeling of what?
Confidence.
Confidence.
That's a great one, and I agree, they are going to be more confident. We also feel that they're going to have a feeling of control. And when a player feels like they are in control of the situation, that they feel good about themselves, and that they're giving 100%, good things are going to happen. Again, more research, again from Stanford University, Dr. Albert Bandura. He found out that if a player feels like they're in control, they're going to work harder and try and do better, and they're going to stick to that activity longer until they do. So the research proves that an athlete who is a master or in mastery mode is going to be more effective for their team than one that's worried about being pulled out and worried about what the scoreboard results might be. All right, we've got a scenario for you, and in the Double Goal, Power of Double Goal coaching book on page 23, we're going to get to that in a minute, but let's say you've got a player, here the player's name is Jesse, and he or she, could be both, either one, goes down the field, takes a shot, misses it, and then we've probably seen it in our coaching time before that they hang their head and don't get back to play defense, and then the other team goes down and scores. So that's something that we want to try and overcome when we have a player who's doing something like that. And I'd like to ask you, I want you to get in a group of 3 people. Make sure you're not in with the same people we've already talked to here tonight. Get with somebody new at least. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to talk about what you would do as a coach to try and help Jesse overcome that. All right, go. All right, 3 minutes is up. All right, would anyone like to share what you thought that Jesse could do to change that action?
I think the first thing I would do is try to get his attention and just see if I can get him to focus just by calling out his name. And, you know, if he doesn't even give eye contact to me as the coach, then, you know, I would have to pull him out of the game. But if I can get his eye contact and, you know, try to get him powered up and back in the game and clapping and, you know, keep going, buddy, keep moving, next play, then I would keep him in the game and see how he handles it. The thing is, he says he does it every time, which would make me nervous. So I think I might have to take him out and talk to him.
Yep. That's a great answer. Thank you. Again, the Power of Double Goal Coaching is a resource that you can use for your coaching. And on page 23, it talks about something at PCA we call a mistake ritual. Now, that is a physical action that a player is going to do to try and get them past that mistake. So there are several examples in the book about some mistake rituals that your players can use to help them make that next steps. Because in coaching circles, I think this is one that you hear all the time. What is the most important play?
The next play.
The next play. And that's what we're trying to help our players do. Double goal coaches are going to help their players effectively get to the next play, and one way to do that is with a mistake ritual. So there are a few of them. One of them you could use in the book you see is no sweat, just a physical action to wipe the sweat off your brow. Another one is just dust it off. Here's one I use with our golf team right now. I have a rubber band on my wrist. I have the players snap out of it. If they have a bad swing or a bad putt, they pull that rubber band, snap it, and it helps them get ready for the next shot, because as we talked about, the next shot is the most important one. So a mistake ritual is a thing you can add to your toolkit that's going to help you be a better coach and help your players overcome those times when things don't go their way. Page 23 on the power of double goal coaching. Speaking of a mistake ritual, right here, there's one called flushing the problem, flushing that mistake out. And the Tampa Bay Devil Rays Major League Baseball team, they actually installed a little commode, and I've got a picture of it right here. You can't see it very well, I don't think, but it's in their dugout where they put their helmets. They've got a mini commode, and if a player makes a mistake out in the field, has a bad at bat, they'll come in and actually flush it, and it makes the flushing sound. And I was looking at it up close. It has the Tampa Bay Devil Rays little logo on the toilet too, which is fairly interesting. But a Major League Baseball team, has a mistake ritual. So if it works for them, don't you think it might work for your team? Evan Longoria, who's one of the best Major League Baseball players around, brought that into the team's dugout. All right, we're going to go to another principle here that we want to share. But before we do that, I want to ask you a question. I'd like you to think, if you could have any automobile, any kind of car in the world, what kind of car would you have? No price limit, whatever. Would somebody share what kind of car you would have if you could have any car? You'd won it in a lotto or whatever.
To give up my minivan would be tough. But I think I would have to go for a little like BMW convertible.
How about someone else?
I want a classic. I want an old classic pickup truck.
All right, there you go. So myself, I'm not sure. There are a lot of things. Mercedes sounds good. I'm a teacher, so I don't think I'll be getting one, but maybe hypothetically, if I won the lotto, I might. That might be the only way. But let's say you get that vehicle and you go to pick it up, you get the keys, you get in, and I was going to say you smell that new car smell, but with an old pickup truck, you might smell something else. I don't know what, but you get in, you smell that new car smell, you put the key in, you turn it on, and lo and behold, they didn't leave you any gas. And so I want to ask you, you get the car, but when you get there and you find out it doesn't have any gas, how does that make you feel?
Pretty bummed out.
Makes me feel like my car is not going to do me much good.
At least for that time and place. So at PCA, what we're trying to do, our second principle is called filling the emotional tank. And as a coach, you're going to either be filling or draining your players' emotional tanks most of the time. So we want you to think about the importance of trying to fill their tank as much as possible. Just like a car, if you have an empty tank, you're not going to be able to go very far. Whereas if your car, when you go pick it up, has a full tank, you can go very far and have a great trip along the way instead of having to worry about going to the gas station right off the bat. So principle number 2 is filling your player's emotional tank. And research shows that that is very effective in having your players be more successful. So if a coach is draining their players' tanks, there are some things that are going to be an end result. The players are going to be more pessimistic. They're bound to give up more easily and be less coachable. What do you guys think? Is there someone who can tell me if a coach is trying to fill their players' emotional tanks, what do you think the end result might be for the players then?
I think they'll be in a better mental state.
Okay? All right. They are going to be more optimistic. The more praise that's specific and positive they get, they're going to end up being more optimistic. They're also going to deal better with adversity, and adversity is bound to happen in any sport or activity, so we want them to deal better with that. And maybe most importantly, they're going to be more coachable. If they have their emotional tank filled regularly, you're going to have a better athlete and your team results are going to be better. So, what are some things that drain the emotional tank on players? Well, research shows criticism and sarcasm, ignoring, and nonverbals might be just some of the ways that their tank is going to be drained. Let's do a little activity. Let's say it's the end of a basketball game. Our team has a player at the line. He was fouled with 0.2 of a second left. And I actually saw this recently at one of the high school basketball games for the high school that I went to watch, that I coach at. Player had a chance to tie the game. He had 2 free throws to tie it, to send it to overtime against a very good team. His first free throw, up and in. The crowd, very excited, went crazy. His second free throw, he left it just a hair short and it clanked off the front of the rim. So let's say I'm shooting that second free throw, and I would like you to give some sarcasm, like a coach who is winning at all costs, if I shoot and miss. So let me hear some sarcasm after I put it up. I look over to you. What are some things a sarcastic coach might say?
Great shot.
Way to come through, Mike.
So that is going to drain that player's emotional tank, not only then, but maybe for games or many months to come. So how about we try that same scenario? Now, I would like you to think of a way you can non-verbally then tell me how that didn't go right and how disappointed you are. So the shot's up, chance to send it to overtime, clank. What's a non-verbal you can give me? Yeah. So draining their emotional tank is going to stick with them for a long time. Now, a double goal coach in the PCA way is going to try and fill their emotional tank by giving truthful, specific praise. And one way to do that, it's easy to say good job every time. That's one thing as a PE teacher I'm finding more and more interesting, that I have to think about a specific thing that they did, even if it's a little thing. And that sometimes is harder than you think it's going to be. So I've learned that as well. Also expressing appreciation for even being in that spot at that time and letting them know that you appreciate what they did will stick with them and fill their emotional tank. Listening to what they say afterward and really listening and caring about that. And some nonverbals as well. Nonverbals, we communicate. About 80% of our communication is nonverbally. So we want to make sure that we're filling our players' emotional tanks, not only when times are good, but in adversity as well. And speaking of that,
I'm going to stop you there, Mike.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
One other thing I want to show you. I put in John Wooden. Can you see that?
Yep.
So I got John Wooden in there, and I was going to allude to him eventually. So that's it. Thank you.
Cool. Like that. Where did you get the picture from Tampa? Did you just Google that?
Yes.
Because I was there, and I got to see that in their dugout, and I thought that was really cool. And I bring that up at my workshops, but I never thought to Google a picture of it.
Yeah, I was surprised to find it, and there was only one. It wasn't like it was all over. It was just one picture, and I had to dig a little bit, but there it was.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was cracking up that I came back from Tampa and didn't take a picture of it. I have a picture of myself with Kevin Cash and with Jake Odorizzi, and I don't have a picture of the dugout, but that was very cool. I now I can Google it and say I was there.
If you guys haven't noticed, Kelly's quite a big shot. You know, she hangs out with the Ray. She hangs out with Phil Jackson. I mean,
she is a name.
I am. Aren't I a name dropper? Hey, whatever it can do to get the audience to say, hey, I'm going to listen to this chick.
Have you met Obama?
Phil and I are like this. Now, Obama and I, we shoot hoops together, but we're not that close. Mike, you know, that was an impressive amount of information in 20 minutes. And you know your content. You know your stuff. You're probably one of the most prepared trainer candidates that I've ever seen in terms of knowing what you're saying, being prepared, having extra slides thrown in there. I mean, to be able to get through the content that you got through in that amount of time is really, really impressive. My question is, how do you think you were able to get through that much material in that amount of time?
Because I didn't have people talking in the midst of it. That would have added time. I don't know. I mean, part of it is I accidentally did all 6 of the certifications, as I mentioned a long time ago. Ruben said, just do the first one, and I thought, there they all are, so do them all. So I think that's etched a lot of it into my brain.
Yeah, which is great. I think the very first thing you said was more in line of kind of what I was thinking, because I was just noticing there was a part of it where I lost sound for a little while, and I was looking and I saw that Anna was still on mute and Ruben was still on mute. So I was like, okay, I know he's not asking us any questions there. And then a little while into it, I came back on and I was on mute again, and I was just thinking, okay, we're still on mute. We're still. So what I'm saying is, I think that you you have time to spare. You are well prepared. You know what you're doing, so you're ready. You can keep this moving at a great pace. What I would love to see more is you bringing us into it with you, because you know your stuff. I mean, you're a good teacher of material. Your voice quality is good. I don't think you're going too fast or too slow. Your expression is good. Your examples are great. I know if you were in a live room, you would not be in the corner. You would be all over the room, I have a feeling, because that's just, I can feel your energy, and that's the way you would be. I was just hoping that you would just bring us in a little bit more. And let me tell you where I'm getting this from. Let me just let you listen to the wordage. And I wasn't going to bring this up, but I pulled it out just because it was sitting on my desk. We have a rubric that has just recently been created to evaluate trainers. And you know rubrics from teaching. So, you know, we have different levels. And the highest benchmark level for a trainer, and it's broken up into delivery, use of PowerPoint, stance, movement, eye contact, your voice, and then the last one is participant involvement and engagement. And when I look, and I can even show it to you real quick, that's what the rubric looks like. When I look at all of those areas, and the levels are, do you need improvement, do you achieve it, or do you excel in each of those areas? When I look at each of those areas for you, Mike, you excel at 4 out of 5 of those areas, without a doubt. And that's hard to do. I mean, you really do. When I look at how we describe it, you do excel. Listen to the areas of participant involvement and engagement, though. The first one is, if you needed improvement in this area, it says, very little involvement of the audience. Workshop was a monologue versus a dialogue. Did not ask questions. Instructed instead of facilitated. I don't think you're there. That's a level 1. You're definitely better than that. Here's a level 2. This is if you have achieved this benchmark. Participants were included through questions, included throughout questions for understanding and for input within the workshop. Okay, which you did, which I would say you were there. Listen to a trainer that can excel at this. Listen to this description. The facilitator created an environment through participation that gave the participants the impression that they owned the workshop, and the participants were highly motivated and involved. Do you see the difference there?
Yeah.
So which part of that do you think that you could, which part of that description do you think could help you a little bit more in your delivery?
Well, I'm not overly worried about that, because I connect with people in a live setting better, and I feel like I would have more give and take. This setting is so contrived that it's really hard, you know, and it's hard for me to believe that you really care. You're answering the questions just because you're filling in time. But is that, Ruben, do you have something to add? Or
this contrived setting, we're approaching about 100 trainers that have gone through it, and many achieve that excels rubric that Kelly described. Now, Mike, I believe you. I believe in a live workshop you're going to be more of that excel level. I don't want the setting or the hangout. You know, you're not an excuse maker. I don't want that to be the case. You know, my thought. When you put us through the exercise of the player who missed the shot, and you had us, you know, that's the type of thing I think that if there was a little more of, correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, that puts Mike into that Excel categories where he has 5 out of 5 Excels instead of 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Is that right?
The key word I was looking for was that the participants, you gave the participants the impression they owned the workshop.
Okay.
So I didn't feel like we were owning the workshop. You were asking a lot of questions. You were getting us involved. We were talking. But I didn't feel like I was taking the principle of Elm Tree of Mastery and owning it and understanding it, because I wasn't challenged to do that. And it's just a matter of questioning. You know, for example, a question saying, wow, mistakes. You know, you went on about mistakes. You did a great job. You gave a lot of great details of mistakes. It was awesome. What I would love to see you do is, okay, let's think of a player that just has trouble bouncing back from mistakes. What do you do, coach? Let's talk about this. How do we handle mistakes? And are we modeling to our players how to handle mistakes? When's a mistake, and tons of questions. When's a mistake that has happened on the field or the court or the pool that you've really seen a player get down on themselves and consider it a failure? Have any of you ever seen a player look at a mistake as a challenge and rise up to beat that mistake? You know, questions like that get, I always say, it gets the wheels turning. You start to see smoke coming out of their ears like, okay, I'm getting this, I'm making it real. It's because, you know, I mean, information is fantastic, but if you can't own it, they're not going to walk away with it. So I'm being tough on you right now because I know you can take it, because you're the kind of person that wants to get better. I probably wouldn't have done this with everybody in this course, Mike, but I know that you're the kind of person that likes feedback. So I think this is probably a very specific area that you can just take it and run. And I'm really excited because I think you have so many gifts going for you. Anna as well. You guys have different personalities, but you both have such strengths as facilitators of workshops. And I think both of you, when it gets down to fine tuning, that's when you know you're doing great, because the little things that we're pointing out are just things that we know can just put you in that Excel category, and that's hard to do right off the bat. So that's my biggest comment. I think when you did get us into groups talking about Jesse, you were really talking to us. What would you do to help Jesse overcome that? That's a great question. That's giving me ownership of Jesse. What am I going to do? So that's what I'm talking about, sprinkling that maybe a little bit earlier on.
Okay. And
I think because, too, this is the first principle is the other reason. This is the very first principle they get to, so we got to make sure we engage them right away.
Okay. I'm learning, and I will continue to learn. I mean, it's really beneficial in so many areas, and I feel, it's like, okay, I'm going to continue to learn. I'm trying, and I feel good about it, and I appreciate your feedback, and I understand what you're saying.
I want to point out, just in case it got lost, five areas in the rubric, Kelly.
Yes.
4 out of 5 excels, and one is what's the level 2?
Mm-hmm.
One meets the so to me that is overall a very strongly positive evaluation off that rubric.
Well, it's easy to do it because I believe it, and I'll get the fine tuning, and I really do appreciate, and I think I will get there as far as getting everybody to own it, and so that's great, and I'll keep on working at it.
Don't sell yourself short, though. There's a lot of people that come into this and they believe it and they cannot communicate it. So, I mean, there's a difference between having passion and having fantastic coaches, and they just cannot communicate this effectively as a workshop facilitator. So I think belief is really important, but I think you definitely have some skills, and that's great.
We have a girls golf meeting tomorrow, and I'm going to venture in doing the triple impact competitor with our girls golf team. I haven't practiced it a lot, but I'm pretty sure I can pull it off, and it will be good training for me. So I'll try and really work on that and getting them more involved in it tomorrow.
Ruben, did you have any more feedback for Mike or Anna? I'd love to hear from Anna too.
I'll rattle off quickly some real positives. Mike, your opening I thought was very effective. It took less than 2 minutes, and maybe somewhere between 1 and 2 minutes, and which is awesome because I think it'll fit so well with the overall opening of the workshop. You'll do what Kelly very much wants you to do, which is let people know why you're even there, and but because you do it in a concise, compact way, it'll allow you to get to either the Steve Young or the Kevin Durant video. It'll allow you to get us into that discussion about the coach that had the greatest impact on us within the first 5 minutes, as the SMAC recipe calls for. So I really liked your concise and effective opening. I like the fact that you several times said research shows. We know from research. So you know, you drove that home. I thought the Tampa Bay photo and example was great, and the way you brought that to life. It's one thing to bring a picture in, but then you really used it effectively. I like how you did the gas tank, car tank. You know, what kind of car would you want to drive? You know, that's a piece that felt like mine. That felt like mine when I got to think about, oh yeah, I've always wanted an old classic pickup. Okay, well, I like that. And then I like the way I mentioned this before. You're doing that drain fill exercise with us. All of those were real strengths of your workshop today.
Mm. Yeah, and I will echo that it was awesome to see you up there. You're so calm and poised, and I can totally see you as a teacher and with your athletes. And your knowledge of the content is pretty remarkable to witness. And I appreciate the way you adjusted the car example. I think I saw you do the e-tank before, and I really like this one. And I have to admit, I also noticed that I liked when I saw you smile during the presentation. Just felt more engaging. So that was nice to see, because I noticed that was different too. So nice work.
Great. And I'm just going to say one more thing, because I'm going to be the voice of Eric Eisendrath, who's the other one of the lead trainers. He often I have my Ruben comments that I share if Ruben's not on, and I have my Eric comments that I share if Eric's not on. One of the things that is a bee in his bonnet, I guess you could say, for Eric Eisendrath is that if you use research to push the principle rather than research to back up the principle. So, you know, Eric often says the mastery climate is researched, and that's not why you should do it. You know, when players are playing in a mastery climate, coaches see a difference in their players. The athlete's performance improves. So this is stuff that coaches and athletes have seen a change in their behavior, and in addition to that, research has backed it up. So I think that's one thing he always mentions, because I'm a big research fan, again, as I'm an educator as well, and I used to push a lot of things with research, and it really does make a difference when you say, research is why you should do this. It's not that the people at Columbia and Harvard and Stanford are sitting in their offices with lab rats. That's not why you should do it. You should do it because when we take that research to the field, it actually makes a difference in performance. So just a little tweaky difference that Eric would be proud of me for mentioning. So.
There was a point where something happened, there was feedback and whatever, and I was actually pretty happy that it didn't distract me. I kept going, because in the past, even a few weeks ago, that would have probably thrown me off a little bit. But I understand that things aren't always going to work the way you want, and you just got to go through it. So I was sitting there going, oh, this, you know, something's wrong, but just keep on going. So I felt pretty good about that.
Good job.
Kelly probably did that on purpose.
Yeah, I thought, oh, they're trying to throw me off, but they're not going to throw me off tonight.
No, it's just me working out tech issues, that's all.
Hey, Kelly, while I've got Mike on here, I just got, earlier today I talked with Linda Crum, and on March 11th, we're planning to meet up. She's going to give us a location, and we're going to meet up. And Mike, you're going to do a live practice facilitation. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, you may not know this. The other part of the plan is that I'm going to try to get there and be there with Linda for that. You know, unless something changes or my flight gets you know, grounded or something, we'll be working together in person on that day.
Good. I look forward to that. We haven't got the time set, but I'm sure we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, thanks you two. And I will contact Sonia. Sonia is our trainer manager. So her job is to plug you guys into some live workshops so that you can get some experience in front of living, breathing humans. So look for an email tomorrow coming from Sonia, and we'll get you guys set up with the system and all the, details, red tape, all that stuff that you guys can do, and we'll get you plugged in, because the more practice you get, the quicker you can get certified and be out there flying on your own. So we're both really excited about having you guys on board, and I think Portland and Denver are really, really lucky to have you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Thank you.
Kelly,
Yep.
Kelly, can you stay on for a moment?
Sure.
Hey, and Anna, I'm going to check yours out, and I apologize for